What's good, everybody? Been meaning to do something like this for a long time, and finally we're gonna get it cracking. Songs like this, I really hesitate on either doing a breakdown or even just kind of making a video clip to this. I figured I'm just gonna break this one down and unpack this metaphorically charged song by phenomenal artist. Consider him like a modern day Gil Scott-Heron, actually. Mr. Blackbird from the collective Darkleaf, classic underground hip-hop group from Los Angeles, part of that good old Project Blowed collective from the golden era, if you will. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm going to let the first verse play, and then I'm going to kind of go over each line or whatever, because there's only two verses, really, and it's the same, mirrored. So, yeah, I'm going to let the first one go. I'm going to cut in the middle and kind of break the whole thing down a little bit, and then let the second part play naturally. So, yeah, feel free to come up with your own interpretations of it. I mean, this isn't set in stone what I'm going to be talking about, but I wanted to do this because it's pretty pertinent towards what we're dealing with as a species, society, and on an individual level. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Enjoy.
How terrible must the mask that we unconsciously bear be before we cannot stop the transformation, before we cannot endure the fight anymore, before the score envelops our whole, and we are forced to succumb to the tomb. No room to house the efforts that are slowly going unnoticed in the bridge reality with destruction. A haze travels by days to set into action the pacifiction. And what is really awaiting resurrection from the catacombs within the earth? Incantations of our soul's knowledge of the outworld's dominions exist due to DNA structure. And so we must unite to rupture the machine in order to shatter the shackles. Enslaved spirits inside of controlled physical forms. The game of chess remains a lesson for us to understand why the hour is getting dark. And as the dragon is set to arise and obliterate the blind made so by generations of coding, by madmen made slaves by the poison of ignorance injected, settling for mere material trinkets instead of the immeasurable gift of insight, who will fight? Be not fooled by the seemingly treasure of fractionary leisure, for the wicked never rest. We must stay awake to reclaim our freedom from the enslaved minds. That is the game. We are truly a race against time.
Y'all like that? Pretty deep, huh? Yeah. I was thinking about, yeah, I'm gonna just wing it, but no, I actually wrote some stuff down for this one because it's a little much too much. So, gonna break this down line by line. Hopefully you guys got the time. So, how terrible must the mask that we unconsciously bear be? Obviously, I wanted to do this video right after I did my last one, unmasking the bullshit about masks and everything, you know, face mask or whatever mask you want to fucking wear. It's hiding your true authentic self, straight up and down, you know. How terrible and ugly does that shit have to get until you've, you know, eventually realize that it's unnecessary. You don't need that, you know. Again, the mask being an external persona from our true authentic self, it's been hardened by the shadow ego. Remember that end of my last video, I threw in that incredible mini documentary In Shadow, that animation thing. Deep shit, huh? Yeah. So, yeah, those masks are pretty solid, and the ego wants to harden that and not make you really pierce through, you know? Ego's got your back, but it's not, the ego ain't always your amigo. Capiche, yo? So, the true authentic self has an open mind and spirit, and it doesn't mind the humility of not knowing or being corrected, since they know it leads to further understanding. The mask likes to believe in deception, since we are deceiving ourselves ultimately. And like these masks people are wearing today is an externalized form of safety, which I showed is scientifically wrong, instead of having the internal force, health, and confidence within. Are you confident in your own immune system? Do you believe what the authorities are saying? Come on, yo. Next line. Before the transformation, before we cannot endure the fight anymore, before the score envelops our whole, and we are forced to succumb to the tomb. We don't want to meet that doom. There is a point of no return, guys. When he said transformation, I immediately thought of this phenomenal movie, documentary if you will, put out 2009 by Max Egan, called Transformations. And it talks about the whole man turning into machine, transhumanism rising. And it's nothing that he predicted. He just, people like him can see, where the trajectory of where, the psychopaths are trying to lead humanity, and that's anti-life, pretty much. Check that out. I'll put a link down below, So, how much suffering, loss of freedoms, and enslavement will it take before people realize they're getting played? Like in Nazi Germany. First they came for the sick, then they came for the poor, then they came for the Jews, then they came for, whoever else. There's no one else left but me. I didn't scream out before, and now I'm fucked, Something along the lines of that. So, yeah, interesting times we're in right now. Moving on. No room to house the efforts that are slowly going unnoticed in the abridged reality with destruction. A haze travels by days to set into action the pacifiction. It's not a real word, but I'm sure you can understand what that means, and I'll reiterate on that. So, if you haven't noticed, search engines and YouTube are censoring, shadow banning, and whatever else, if you will, information that is opposing the oppression. At the same time, they're overpopulating their algorithms with their distorted, prescribed information, making people believe that this is what the majority consensus is. Pacifying these people with lies instead of them understanding the truth and rising up with righteous indignation. The haze, traveling for days, meaning it's unclear, but since it's coming from the authorities, people take their word for it without discernment, and that's just too bad. Why is it too bad? Oh, let me guess, because they've had a fucking track record for centuries of lying to the public, Moving on. And what is really awaiting resurrection from the catacombs within the earth? This is open to interpretation. I'm just going to wing it. What is it really? Or is he talking about the inner earth beings from Agartha? About the hollow earth, inner earth, Is he talking about the essence of lost souls tormented by tyranny from the past millennium? Turning over in their graves, They don't want us to repeat the same fates that they had to endure. Or is it something like the blood of the earth, the magma, lava, that's like set to erupt if the scales are not tipped? Sorry, if the scales are tipped way out of balance, because humanity is so disharmonized with nature. Next line. Incantations of our soul's knowledge of the outer world's dominions exist due to DNA structure. I love this one. Because deep, deep, deep down inside yourself, your soul knows what is true. Your cosmic ancestry is not lost. Rekindle the essence from within. Sometime, I don't know if you heard the beautiful expression, the only way out is in. You know what I mean? Try to see with your inner eye and listen with your inner ears the cries of your soul to be freed. Activate that dormant DNA within yourself. We are stellar beings with the original template of at least 12-strand DNA structures. The knowledge of the universe is there within, you know. Fuck this, oh, we're only using 10% of our brain shit, and scientists say, like, oh, we all have this, like, junk DNA. Fuck all that. No, it's dormant, it's disconnected, it's deactivated. We have to dig down deep to rekindle that essence and reactivate what has been manipulated from eons of manipulation. Probably going back all the way to the Anunnaki, fall of Atlantis, you know. Moving on. And so we must unite to rupture the machine in order to shatter the shackles. You know? We can no longer be mere cogs in the machine that is the Matrix.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
We need to shatter the programs that hold shackles on the brains of the majority of the population. Not just shackles on the mind, but also the emotions and the guts as well. You know, people's courage is crippled. Yeah, a lot of people are scared to speak out because, you know, they're afraid of what other people might think of them, you know. Well, you know, I'd be more concerned about what is, you know, coming down the pipelines with, you know, the transhumanist bullshit and, you know, overt draconian oppression, you know. That's going to be 1,000 times worse than what your fucking friends or family is going to think about you speaking up and out about, you know, all the bullshit going on in the world, you know. I know it's not easy, but yeah, we can all do it. Baby steps, you know. As they say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Yeah, so, what's next? Enslaved spirits inside controlled physical forms. We are supposed to bridge the higher realms with the physical realm. But humanity has lost its way a long time ago, and for many, the shadow ego has sealed the connection to the higher self with many individuals. On top of the multitude of programming that keeps this vicious cycle running in a self-perpetuating feedback loop. Think about that. The game of chess remains a lesson for us to understand why the hour is getting dark. If you do not understand how we are being played, manipulated, and programmed into enslaving ourselves and causing self-inflicted suffering, then you probably don't see that we're at the final hour, and it is darkening evermore. It's up to each individual to understand this game, withdraw your participation in it as best you can. You know, we can't just judge each other like, oh, you're not doing enough or this and that. Like, it's a process. You know, if you're progressing towards that, then, you know, more power to you. You know, if we don't learn the lesson, we're in checkmate and doomed to repeat this shit over again. You know, as we have over and over and over again, and, you know, for millennia. You know. And as the dragon is set to arise and obliterate the blind soul made by generations of coding by madmen made slaves by the poison of ignorance injected. Let's say that the ego is your dragon. Your ego is your dragon. Metaphysically speaking, metaphorically speaking. You cannot kill it. You can only determine yourself to master it and use it to your advantage. This has tremendous life force to give it This has tremendous life force to give if tempered and used correctly. I suggest going to Black Earth Productions and learning more about that, which I'll leave a link for, of course. Very powerful stuff right there. Ignorance injected by generations of families following the programming, education, television, social conditioning. It's almost inherited. At the same time, also injected. Kind of like vaccines, huh? Interesting, that one. Moving on. Settling for mere material trinkets instead of the immeasurable gift of insight. Who will fight? Be not fooled by the seemingly treasure of fractionary leisure, for the wicked never rest. Your comfort zone is breeding grounds for complacency, laziness, and inactivity in regards to getting your shit together and understanding the world around you in regards to what the age of deception has brought upon us to this present day. Who wants or needs trinkets when the real prize is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom? And that's the alternate or esoteric version of the trivium. Grammar, logic, and rhetoric. In that order, you know. Money, mon eye, one eye, yeah, real insight, the inner mind's eye. People can lose motivation when they get laid, have their house, make that Skrilla, you know, they think they got it made, they ain't got to search deep within, they're not too concerned on inner gnosis, you know, they're living the fantasy dream that's been kind of pushed to them, you know, through social conditioning, you know, they've obtained some kind of status, you know, oh, they got the boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, people are going to be a victim to that complacency, and they're not going to search much beyond that until, I don't know, something hits them over the head, you know, or something like that, I don't know. They might have a lack for self, a lack of gnosis of self, etc. And they wouldn't really be the ones tempted to come out of their comfort zones to fight the powers that be. They might even think that the powers that be are their freaking role models, you know, at the same time, which is, you know, even worse, you know, they are part of the problem, right? The wicked never rest. Have you noticed that the lie is being broadcasted 24/7, 365 days? Day in, day out, year after year, all the fucking time? We have to be the voices of truth to counteract this fucking bullshit tyranny, deception. What are you going to do to help counter this? We need to tip the scales in favor of truth, love, freedom, and justice. Almost done here. We must stay awake to reclaim our freedom from the enslaved minds. That is the real game. That is the game, sorry. We need to stay awake, persistent, and determined to make the darkness conscious. That means battling ignorance. The darkness being evil and evil being ignorance. When we really boil it down, that's what it is. It's ignorance of the divine, ignorance of natural law, ignorance of the suffering one causes upon themselves and others. Yeah, there is other forms of wickedness for sure. Yeah, the psychopaths, you know. But they are also just ignorant to the singularity, to the life force energy, the ineffable the ineffable power of true divine love, compassion, and generative principle that sparked creation to begin with. We are truly a race against time. The clock is ticking, folks. The clock is ticking for the human race to rise above all adversity. All of it. I know many are caught in the rat race, you know, the 9 to 5, whatever. Despite that, you know, been a couple monkey wrenches thrown into that, you know, with the whole shutdown, lockdown, whatever the hell, COVID bullshit. So we've had time to reflect and kind of recalibrate and reevaluate our purpose in life. Now is the time. It's been past time, so that's about it. You can definitely throw more onto that, but I tried to make this short and sweet. Hope you find some value in that, and enjoy the rest of the track. Peace.
How terrible must the mask that we unconsciously bear be before we cannot stop the transformation? Before we cannot endure the fight anymore, before the score envelops our whole, and we are forced to succumb to the tomb. No room to house the efforts that are slowly going unnoticed in the abridged reality with destruction. A haze travels by days to set into action the passive fiction. And what is really awaiting resurrection from the catacombs within the earth? Incantations of our soul's knowledge of the outworld's dominions exist due to DNA structure. And so we must unite to rupture the machine in order to shatter the shackles. Enslaved spirits inside of controlled physical forms. The game of chess remains a lesson for us to understand why the hour is getting dark, as the dragon is set to arise and obliterate the blind made so by generations of coding, by madmen made slaves by the poison of ignorance injected, settling for mere material trinkets instead of the immeasurable gift of insight. Who will fight? Be not fooled by the seemingly treasure of fractionary leisure, for the wicked never rest. We must stay awake to reclaim our freedom from the enslaved minds. That is the game, and we are truly a race against time. We are truly a race against time. Be not fooled. We are truly a race against time. The wicked never rest. We must stay awake to reclaim our freedom. Be not fooled. We are truly a race against time.